The first thing we're going to do is open the glove box fully, and if you open the glove box and push in on the sides, it will extend all the way down like this one has. And look into the opening, you'll see the plenum box, and on top of that box you can see the actuator motor that controls the blend door. So the next steps we're going to take is we're going to completely remove the glove box. You can see the 3 screws that hold that in place. We'll pull that down and then we'll remove the motor. And if you look at this one, you can see, I hope you can see on the video, that it has some little black pinch pins that stick up through the white motor, and those you basically just pinch them together and lift up on the motor and the motor will come out. You can see two of them in the front here. There's a third one in the back that's going to be a lot more difficult to get to. We may have to just use a large pry bar or a long screwdriver to pull that back one out. But this one will be fairly simple to pull the motor out. On some models where you see those pinch pins, there will be 3 screws coming down into it. Those are a lot more difficult to remove. The 2 front ones are easy, but the back one is very hard to get to. If you have that, you have to have a slimline ratchet to get to it, and I'll show you what that ratchet looks like. I've removed the glove box door, as you can see, just the 3 screws. This motor, I just used a screwdriver wedged up and it came out, and then I pulled off the little electrical connector. So we now have the motor out of the vehicle. The other thing I wanted to show you is if you do have screws, that back one is very hard to get to. This is a kind of slick little ratchet wrench here. Very slim line. This comes from Harbor Freight. If you do have the screws in it and you have trouble getting to that back screw, this is the perfect tool for hitting that back screw. Okay, we've got the motor out, and I can put my hand up in there and put my finger over the hole that the motor actually extends down into, and I can feel that that axle is broken. I don't really have any way to show you that on the video, but after we pull the door out, we will take a look at the top of it. So we know that this one is broken, and we will go ahead and make the repair. The next thing we're going to do is move down to the bottom here, and it's going to be kind of hard to see this on the video, but this is the area where we're going to make the cut, and I'll show you this on a box that's been removed from the automobile. And we provide patterns that show you exactly where the cut is made. There's enough room in this particular model to do this without pulling the carpet back or trying to extend more room, but it's not a very difficult cut. Okay, we're going to make the cut in the bottom of the box, and again, you'll see this in the instructions, and we'll look at a box outside the car. And I'm using a Dremel tool to do this. This can also be done with a hot knife, which is really nothing more than a soldering iron with a blade on it, or something as simple as a box cutter and a Bic lighter would actually do it. It's very slow, but it can be done. I prefer the Dremel tool because it's fast. The one I've got here is made by a company called Durabuilt. I bought this at Target. For about 30 bucks, and it's nice because it's variable speed and has this flexible link on it. The kit provides you with this bit on the end to make it easy to cut. But I'll go ahead and make the cuts now. It wouldn't be very interesting on the video to hear sound and not see anything, but let's go ahead and get the cut back, and then we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I've made the cut in the bottom, and this is the plastic piece that comes out of it. You may be able to see a little bit up into the hole, and you can kind of see where that blend door sits. The next thing we want to do is to pull that blend door out. If you got lucky, the top connection is totally broken, and that door is just going to fall out. On this one, I can already tell the top connector was still partially in place, which means I'm going to have to break that door to get it out. So what I'm going to do is to just use the Dremel tool to cut the backbone of the door, and I'll go ahead and extract that. I'll show you what it looks like when we get it out. Here's the broken blend door that we pulled out of the system. The first thing you want to see is the bottom of this, and this, was sitting in with this coming to the bottom, and I went in with the Dremel tool and just kind of hacked along the bottom of that until I got this bottom pin off, and then the door slides right out. This one is a little more difficult to get out because of the way it broke. A lot of times what you'll see is that this entire piece on the top will break off, in which case the door just kind of falls out. This one is the half break, and they're really two common patterns. So this would still stick up through the top and pin the top of it, and I had to cut the bottom to get it out. But you can see the typical break. This is where the motor axle fit into it, and you can see that it's broken. This is very common on this particular model. Okay, we've reinstalled the door, and I'll show you a little more about how to do that out on the bench because it's hard to see in the vehicle itself. And you'll see that we have replaced the motor, and I'm going to try and get a little bit of a picture of what the door looks like from underneath there. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to turn the knob, and you can almost see the door moving there, but it's now moving correctly. The only cautions are you need to make sure that you clean out the little cup on the bottom here, which is kind of hard to see. And when you get the door in place, it will take a little jiggling to get the motor connector in place and to get it connected properly. And once you get that in, you have to make sure that you get the motor on and aligned correctly with it. And on this one, I put it all together, turned the car on, started turning the knob, and the door wouldn't move. I made my usual mistake. I forgot to connect the wiring connector. So don't forget the wiring connector. The door won't move without it. The final step is that we will seal that bottom hole. We'll use the aluminum duct tape that's provided with the kit, and we will have fully functional AC and heat in this automobile. The overall process is not horribly difficult. I can tell you that my back is going to hurt tomorrow, but other than that, I think it went fairly smoothly. I would go ahead and plan on an hour to an hour and a half to do this particular fix. It is a little frustrating, a little jiggling to get the motor aligned, but once it snaps in place, it feels so good, and it's so easy to get back together. So again, the name of the company is HeaterTreater. Check us out on our website at heatertreater.net. There are other solutions for this particular Ford problem, in particular what they refer to as the nail fix. We do have an engineering article on the nail fix. You may want to take a look through that. The alternative is to pull this entire plenum box out, split in half, and that's what the dealer is going to want to do. It's a very expensive process. Our process is fairly easy, extremely effective once installed, and the metal will work forever. And this is how it's installed. So thank you for listening.